Not just American astronauts. Also on board was a Spaniard and a Japanese. Now it seems NASA could eventually launch an official British astronaut into orbit. It's early days. The space station where he or she would work hasn't been built yet, but Britain's attitude to manned spaceflight has dramatically changed. It was the British-born NASA astronaut Michael Foale who triggered the new interest. He was on the Russian Mir space station last year when it suffered this near-fatal collision with a supply ship. Foale attracted huge publicity. An official British astronaut would have a similar following.
I think it might change the attitude of the country as a whole to science and technology, which is viewed in a rather negative sense these days. Something exciting was going to happen. And if this steers more people to think and to train and to encourage their children to go into science and engineering, this cannot but be of advantage to the country.
To get an astronaut on the space station, Britain would need to get more involved with the project. One suggestion, Britain might provide these special engines, called ion engines, which keep the station from drifting back to Earth. And the astronaut would have to do worthwhile science. This evening, the Space Minister was enthusiastic.
We've got very much an open mind on this, and if the right project comes, we'll go for it. I wouldn't say it's absolutely top priority, but there is a real chance that it might happen.
Britain's first unofficial astronaut was Helen Sharman. She was trained by the Russians and visited Mir in 1991 as part of a privately funded scheme. Today, she was clearly thrilled at the prospect of an official UK astronaut.
The whole concept of a proper British astronaut, and I say proper British astronaut because my mission was not commercial. Mike Foale went into space as an American, although he also happens to be British. I think it's right and very timely we should have a proper British astronaut now.
Apart from the space station, Britain has a number of other space projects under consideration, and they can't all be funded. But such is the enthusiasm, it's now clearly on the cards that one day Britain too will have her very own astronaut hero. James Wilkinson, BBC News.
The 6-month-old ceasefire by the Northern Ireland loyalist paramilitary group, the The scientists believe their new find measured about 11 metres in length with a sail-like fin on its back and ran on 2 legs. They believe it lived around 100 million years ago and fed on fish as well as land animals. Staff at a breeding centre in South Africa's north
his huge grey parent for a small fluffy one. For the sheep, called scarp, interspecies adoption is nothing new, according to staff at the breeding centre where the animals live.
The sheep helped us to rear some rhinos and buffalo calf and Tsessebe calf. It's all endangered. And then when this elephant came in, he was a very good surrogate mother. So we brought him in to sleep and to walk and to be the whole day with this elephant, and it worked very well.
While Scarp keeps an eye on her new charge, she has failed in some maternal duties. Her lesson in the use of the trunk was so bad that the elephant tends to use his mouth and has to be fed milk from a bottle. His keepers also had to show him what leaves were good to eat. But the bond of affection between the two is undeniable. Jabulani will be released back into the wild eventually. In the meantime, he can do at least one thing a sheep can only dream of. Ben Rich, BBC News.
Wonderful story. Now, before we go, let me remind you of the top